Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you're having an amazing day. We're going to take a quick look at Rose, see what's going on here, obviously, and then identify how much higher it's going to go, or roughly what's the next steps, right? I get the question a lot right now, when's Rose going to take back off? So we're going to try to find that out. And just before we do, not a financial advisor, I love teaching people how to trade. I hope you can learn something here today. I have a trading academy / signal group, as well as a community where we all learn and grow together. Basically, get signals, chat, as well as the simple fact that I have a trading academy that walks you every step of the way through becoming a better trader. So check that out in your own time. CryptoCache.tech is the website. The website is up and running. Just bear in mind the website is very, very incomplete. It's there specifically to help facilitate a membership section so you can watch the videos, but not necessarily much else. It's still under construction. We'll have that done here soon. Taking a look here at Roso, one-day chart, something we got to obviously identify is the fact that we're still under 50 on the RSI. It's trying. It's getting back on track. I think we could be there soon. But the key takeaway here is that 50 on the RSI works as a major resistance level, and that is synonymous with the 50-day simple moving average too. If you see the 50-day simple moving average here, it essentially helps us understand that 37 cents is probably going to be a key level resistance. Okay, so just be mindful of that when we're under the 50, potential resistance could hold the price action down. Eventually, once we get over the 50, that's when we want to kind of maybe celebrate and feel better about the fact that we're back on track. And if you're already unfamiliar with Bitcoin's behavior today, in only 3 hours is up almost 9%. Okay, so that's the main reason why we're seeing some nice little recovery here from a lot of coins. You see a green market for a change. Look at this, nice and green. Pretty much everything is green. And the main reason why is just because it's the Bitcoin's doing well. Big surprise, right? But just keep in mind that's premature. So try not to just jump right in, FOMO in, and think that Rose is going to take off. It very well could, don't get me wrong, but we don't have enough information to identify that yet. Okay, Bitcoin is just kind of having fun today so far. The trading day is still open, so be cautious. That's all I can say about that. Watch my Bitcoin video if you're more curious, right? I have that probably link in the description or tags up here in the corner. All right, so one thing also to kind of bear in mind, we have a MACD convergence here, right? Or potential. It's very, very close to converging, which essentially just implies that we could see a shift in momentum to the upside. That's traditionally a sign you want to look for when going long. So keep that in mind if you're a swing trader, hodl trader. The likelihood of it going up versus down right now is higher based on that sentiment alone. Now, is there guarantees on that? No, definitely not. But if we look at this here, you can kind of see a nice straight continuation here from Rose where the price just keeps going up, right? Even when it comes back down, it corrects itself. It has a nice, strong trajectory. So oftentimes when you have that ascending type of pattern, the likelihood of it continuing back up is high. And I think we're going to be in pretty good shape. It's also concurrent, so to speak, with the 200. So, again, it just keeps on moving right up, right? So that's awesome stuff. I love to see that on the one day for Rose. So I think big term, long-term potential, Rose has much more potential than what you're seeing presently, and 35 cents is probably still going to be a good value eventually. That's my goal, or my guess essentially. And I think the goal is to, see Rose do very well. I think that will happen. I think it's very likely considering it has a really nice trajectory, right? So that's kind of where we're at there for the one day. So one day essentially looks good. We can check that off the list. Looking at the 4-hour chart, also looking good here. We're up over the 50-day simple moving average. 200 is working its way down, but I'd much rather the 50 be below than above, based on the fact that we could have basically a nice little push up, because that 50 does work as a strong support level in most cases, and we could essentially see that happen soon. So I like where that's at. We also like the fact that the 50s on the RSI is below the price. In other words, when you have the RSI above 50, that tells us that we're above a key level support. So oftentimes it's more considered bullish over bearish. And once again, it's that 50-day simple moving average kind of working as that support level. Okay, so good stuff there. MACD doesn't tell us too much. It's a little too tight. It's not a lot of price action. So when you see it kind of squeezing out like that, almost getting parallel, it really just tells you that we're at this state of indecision, so to speak, and that the likelihood of it going one way or the other is pretty low. Or in other words, we don't know which way it's going to go based on that sentiment alone. It doesn't really help us too much, which is why we look at the RSI and the moving averages. Those do help us a little bit better. Okay, so all good stuff there in that sense as well. The midterm looks better than not, so we can see that kind of shift, but just something to exercise caution with, and I just want to bring this to your attention. This is the same exact formation that Bitcoin has right now. So, an 11% increase in only 3 hours from Rose, that's equivalent to a 9% increase from Bitcoin in only 3 hours. So I just want you to be careful and cautious, because when the price comes up like that fast, the likelihood of it selling off is fairly high. It needs to consolidate and continue sideways for some time before we have any confidence. Bitcoin is telling us right now that it wants to take off, but it's hitting that key level resistance at 40,250. And until we can close above on the one-day candlestick and the market is the traditional market is closed, we have no reason to consider that to be, on board, ready to go, rock and roll, right? We cannot just check that off the list and say, hey, Bitcoin's back on track. We're still under a lot of key level resistances. So just bear that in mind. But this is happening right now from Rose. We're seeing very similar behavior. Okay. So that's the reason for that. But good news is we are seeing higher highs and higher lows. So for lack of better terms, Rose is on the right track. So this next low is higher than the previous. We're going to be in pretty good shape, right? So we want to make sure the next low is not anything lower than 33 cents. That'd be really important to have that stay above. All right, so that's essentially what we're looking at there for the 1 hour. Let's see if the Ichimoku cloud tells us much. Pretty much just giving us all indications to keep our long position open. Standard stuff. We've got the lagging span free and clear, conversion line above the baseline, and obviously we're well above the actual cloud itself. So all good stuff there, really. There's literally nothing I see here from Rose that doesn't have an indication it's going to want to continue, except for, and this is something you want to keep in mind, we've got this pretty strong resistance level here at about 35 cents, a close approximate. You can see it's had trouble passing this plane for some time. Therefore, it's important to understand that, proceed with caution, wait for the one-day candlestick to close above 35 cents if possible, and make sure you have that affirmation. I think by this time tomorrow, we'll know what Bitcoin has decided to do, and at that time, we can kind of understand if it's better to invest in Rose or not. But here's something that's really cool about Rose, is the fact that even in the face of all this craziness from Bitcoin, it's done very well, and it hasn't since January 22nd. It hasn't gone anything lower than 29 cents, right? So that's a really good sign. The fact that it's been consolidating in this area, building a really strong volume profile is important. If we zoom out a little bit too and see where that's at, that's still synonymous with a lot of other volume for Rose. Okay, so we have the most amount of volume where the price is at right now, which is below. Therefore, that's why this ascending pattern is going to continue to come to fruition, because we keep building a strong base and building on it, right? If you have a strong foundational base of volume, you're going to be in much better shape to be able to kind of continue that momentum, right? So with us having a strong volume profile below the price action, that reaffirms that as a support. So the likelihood of the Rose coming anything lower than 30 cents or 29 cents is extremely low, right? So the probability of it going up from here is pretty high. So I would say that adding to your position at this point wouldn't be a terrible consideration, because of the simple fact that we have that strong volume profile. Again, pending Bitcoin doesn't drop sub 33,000 or 29,000, something crazy in the next couple of weeks, then we're going to probably see Rose continue to do well at this level and continue to build that base and slowly increase, because we are seeing a slow perpetual higher highs and higher lows. That's a good sign. So all in all, I am fairly bullish on Rose at this point. I think we're in good shape. You should expect it to probably increase from here. Again, it may not be a super significant increase. It might just be slow and steady. And that's kind of what we want, right? So just, again, dollar cost average with caution. If you're going to take a day trade, be very careful. Pay attention to Bitcoin. Understand what that's doing first, okay? That's my 2 cents. Hopefully you learned a thing or two here today. If you're not currently a community member, please consider joining CryptoCache.tech. I'd love to get to know you better and work with you there. But I work with all of my current community members, and it's just an amazing experience, very rewarding. We're all coming together and learning. We shorted Bitcoin recently, took a bunch of profits, and now we're ready to kind of take some positions to the upside once we get confirmation, right? At this point, we get some confirmation from Bitcoin, we're going to see a lot of signals coming moving forward. It's going to be great. I do share signals as well for every single trade that I take. I look forward to seeing you better and getting to know you better. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.